Hey guys, my name is Sid. Welcome to another vlog. So a lot of you guys have asked me what kind of camera I use to make my vlogs. So today I thought I'd share with you some of my cameras that I use, which camera does a good job for which situation. And a lot of people who ask me about the camera are aspiring vloggers. They're looking to start something on YouTube. So this is going to be kind of my recommendation list about what you should do if you want to get started on YouTube, kind of equipment stuff. So if this is not your scene, wait for my next video, but today's video is going to be about like camera gear. So here we go. The first camera I want to talk about is the phone. The capabilities of the phone are amazing. This is an iPhone X which I have. It shoots in 4K. It can do 60 frames a second in 4K. It can do slow motion, 120 frames a second as well. Amazing camera. It's waterproof, and it's always with you. It's in your pocket. So a lot of people who ask me whether a phone is good enough to start with on a YouTube vlogging channel. Definitely, if you have a good quality phone, usually most of the phones above the $400–500 range have pretty good cameras these days. So you can get a pretty good looking picture out of something like this. And if you're starting out, I definitely suggest go ahead and start using the phone. So this is what the iPhone X image looks like from the selfie camera. Now you can tell the dynamic range on it is not so great. Picture quality is amazing, it shoots in 4K, but that's where the phone lacks a little bit because the sensor size is so small. You don't really get great dynamic range out of it, and the mic suffers a little bit. You don't have a dedicated external mic, shotgun mic on this. So I think that's the main downfall, but phone cameras have gotten so good now that you can definitely make vlogs on your phone. It works really well. In fact, I shot a whole vlog on my phone the other day. The next thing people ask me about is the GoPro. So whether the GoPro is a good camera to vlog on. And I have two opinions about this. One cool thing about the GoPro is that you can pretty much just point it at yourself and you'll be pretty sure that you're going to get yourself in the image. There's no screen where you can monitor what you're looking at, but it's pretty much going to capture anything, even at this angle, where it's kind of pointing away from you. It's still going to get you in the frame because it's got that ultra wide angle, so you get a pretty wide field of view. And what's cool about that for vlogging is that you can show more of your environment around you. So instead of just focusing on your face, people can look at the things that are happening on the left and the right. And they're called action cameras for a reason. Is because they're really good to capture those action scenes where you're not sure where exactly you're pointing the camera, and you want to capture as much as possible. These things are ultra small as well, so you can carry them around in your pocket very easily, and you can mount them on stuff. The GoPro has an insane amount of accessories. Like I have this whole bag over here just full of GoPro stuff. A bit of it, there's a lot. And I've got a car mount, I've got this chest strap thing, and this dog strap thing which I can put on Zoe, which I bought for a video which isn't ready as yet. And then tons of stuff. This is an underwater carrying thing. It's got a little tripod thing. I mean, just tons and tons of accessories, guys, crazy stuff. I hope that scene was worth it. Now I have to clean up all the shit. My GoPro bag. The bad part about a GoPro is that it kind of sucks in low light. I mean, every camera doesn't do as well in low light. Of course, any of these cameras are going to perform worse in low light. But the GoPro especially, once the sun sets, you're going to kind of have pretty bad quality images on the GoPro. You're not going to be able to see much, lots of grain. The reason is because the sensor size on it is small. Also, the sound quality is okay. Now, the new GoPro 5, which I have, the 5 onwards, has a pretty decent inbuilt mic, and because the body itself is waterproof, you don't need to put in a waterproof casing like the GoPro 4. It has much better sound quality just the way that it is. If you want to connect an external mic to this thing, it's a huge headache. So a lot of people still prefer the GoPro Hero 4 Silver or black because of the mic capabilities. Image quality from this thing, the GoPro Hero 5 is amazing. The 6 is even better. It's got better optical stabilization, so your shots won't look as shaky. And it's great for things like, if you're reviewing cars, You can mount it in the car. You want to capture that, this camera is going to be the best because you can put it pretty much anywhere. Now the next camera I want to talk about is the G7X. This is the Mark 1. Now you get the Mark 2. This one's discontinued. But this is probably the sweet spot for most people because this retails for about $500 and you get a lot for that amount of money. This is very close to a DSLR in terms of quality. You also get the flip out screen. You can see yourself, which is very important when you're vlogging. And it operates really quickly. From the time that you turn it on, hit record, it's very fast. It fits in your pocket, of course. This thing is pretty small. So you can see this camera is pretty tiny. I can fit it in my pocket. So yeah, this camera is super handy, very, very useful for vlogging. I do use it quite a bit. I used to use it a lot more before, but I don't use it as much now because the lens inside has gotten quite dirty and there's no real way to fix it without drilling holes into the camera, which I'm kind of worried to do. So unfortunately, this camera is not working for me as well anymore. But I got a good, a year and a half, 2 years use out of it. I use it pretty much every day for vlogging. And if you see some of my previous videos, most of them were shot on this. The main problem with something like this is that you can't plug an external mic into it, which is super important. I'm telling you guys, more than the camera that you're using, I think sound, that's why I've got this mic over here. Sound is super important and your lighting is super important. So if you guys see, I use something like this ring light over here, which I'm using right now. This is my setup. I've got another B cam over here, which is the Sony A6000. Which I'm using, and I use my TV over there as a monitor. Sound and lighting is so important. Let me just show you guys what this whole setup looks like without the light on. Yeah, so it's a huge difference. Lighting makes a big difference now. The lights are all on top of me. You can see shadows under my eyes, and just everything doesn't look as good as it was looking before. So lights are super important. Now let's get down to this guy. This is my big camera, my most expensive camera. This is the Sony A6500. This is an amazing camera, by the way. It's it's a Sony mirrorless camera. It's got an APS-C size sensor on it. It's got interchangeable lenses. It's got a microphone jack. It's got in-body stabilization. It shoots in 4K at amazing quality. It's got slow motion features, it's got time-lapse features, it's got pretty much anything that you'd want in a video camera. So I'm super happy with this camera. The only problem that I find with it is it doesn't have a flip out screen, so you can't see yourself. So I have to use an external monitor or connect it back to my TV over there just to get to see what I'm looking at, and that's kind of important when you're vlogging. I've kind of gotten used to vlogging without a screen now, but it does result in me taking many shots, checking whether I got the shot or not, which kind of doesn't happen with this guy. I kind of know that I got the shot in the first take. Now that I'm used to the picture quality of this guy, I'm not that happy using this, especially because of the sound. The sound with this, I've got a video micro. I'll leave a link for all this stuff in the description, by the way, so you guys can go check it out. I've got the cage on it, so it's protected. So the cool thing about a camera like this is that you can put pretty much any lens you want on it. So right now I've got a 16mm 1.4 lens from Sigma, and that gives me that nice depth, that blurry effect on the side and the back. That's what you get out of something like this. And because of the interchangeable lenses, you get a lot of versatility. I can put a zoom lens on it and capture something really far. I can put an ultra wide lens, maybe a 10mm lens, and get something that looks like a GoPro but with the quality of a DSLR. So that's the reason why you'd use something like this. And this is a pretty expensive setup. The camera itself cost around $1,300. The lens was another $300. The mic maybe $50, $60 or so. So this whole setup is pretty expensive, almost $2,000 for this thing. This is about $500. This is about $300 to $400, and this of course is your phone. It's expensive, but you're gonna buy it anyway. Anyway guys, that's the comparison between the different kinds of cameras that you can buy. I would recommend that if you have the budget to go for a DSLR, it will improve the quality of your video quite a bit. But before that, make sure that you get nicer lights. I mean, that's a cheap investment. This light I bought for about $100 or so, and it does really well. Like, it gives you a much better image. If you wish to shoot on any of these cameras, this light would make a huge difference. Or maybe go for something like this, which is the G7X. It's got everything you need. It's got the screen inbuilt. You know, it's got great picture quality and all that. So anyway, I'm going to compare all these cameras now. I'm going to put it up on the same mount over here, so you guys can compare for yourself what these look like and sound like from the internal mic. And this one's going to have the Rode mic on it, of course. Alright guys, so this is pretty much the same shot from the iPhone X. Now this is with the light on. I'm going to show you how it looks with the light off as well. This is what the iPhone X sounds like from a distance of about 5 feet or so. So this is what it looks like in relatively low light. Yeah, so this is the image quality of the iPhone X. Let's move on to the GoPro. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like on a GoPro. Probably doesn't sound too good over here because I'm like 5 feet away again. And you can probably see a lot more. You can probably see my computer back there and the mess I have on my table and all that stuff. But yeah, this is what the GoPro looks like. Everything in the GoPro is going to be in focus. There's no depth of field, as you can tell. So this will probably look as sharp as I look. But that's just the way the GoPro image looks. Some people like it. For me, it's like a niche thing. I wouldn't recommend vlogging on a GoPro. This is what it looks like on the GoPro in low light. The lights are off right now. This is probably the weakest point for the GoPro. So let's move on to the G7X. Alright guys, here we go. This is the G7X. I pretty much like this image. I got a nice screen over there where I can see myself, which is awesome. The sound might not be that great right now, but I'm guessing much better than the GoPro. And yeah, it's cool. I can see myself. There's a little bit of depth. So if I move this closer, it might focus on that. That gives it a kind of professional look, which a lot of people are looking for. So this camera has pretty good low light performance. So right now the lights are on. Let me just turn them off real quick and let's see what the G7X looks like in low light. Alright guys, so this is the G7X with low light. As you can tell, the image should still look pretty good. And in fact, I love the low light performance on this camera. I've shot in absolute darkness where there's no lights at all, and this camera still picks up a pretty decent image. It might be a little, a little soft, but it's still gonna at least capture something. Whereas something like GoPro is just going to be like a noisy mess. Now let's move on to the big daddy over here. This is the A6500. Now if you are looking for something a little bit cheaper, you can get the A6300 or maybe something like the Canon 80D, which should do a similar job to this. But yeah, this is going to be the nice camera with the nice lens, so let's have a look at that. This is the Sony A6500 with the good mic, which is a directional mic. As you can see, there's a lot more depth of field. Let me see. So you get that nice blurry look in the back when you, when you're trying to show something. It separates the subject from the background, which is something that people are looking for. The key to achieving it is to have a nice size sensor on your camera, have good autofocus, and then also have a low aperture lens. So this one's 1.4. That's why you get that creamy, buttery background. So it's a combination of all those things that give that image quality. So as you can tell, this probably looks better than the G7X by a little bit. And as you can tell, the price just keeps escalating. For a slightly better quality, you end up paying a lot more. This is the low light performance on this lens. Because of the low aperture, you're getting really good clarity even when there's no light around. So that's what makes this lens so nice. You'll see that there's probably even more slightly more depth of field as well, which is cool. And yeah, so this lens is very versatile. You can use it in many environments. If you're in the dark, if you're in the light, you can turn down the aperture. You can have a lot of manual control on this lens, which you can't on these smaller cameras. I mean, this has a lot of manual controls as well, but you won't get the same kind of image quality that you get off of something like this. I like the Sony cameras because they're nice and compact, easy to carry around, compared to the 80D, which is quite bulky. As I said before, no self-facing screen, which is a big issue for this. Let's turn the lights back on. If you're very sure about making YouTube videos, if you really enjoy it, and you really want to invest into making your quality really good, then maybe you can go for a camera like this one. But for most people, I think something like the G7X is really good to start with, and you'll have a really good time with something like this as well. Alright guys, so that's it. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. Was it helpful for you guys? I'll leave links in the description to all these different cameras in case you decide to pick it up. I'm thinking of making like a kit account with all this stuff in there, so if you guys want to go buy it, you can go buy it from those links. If you like this video, hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe to watch more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.